Good evening, everyone. I'm Akush Lopinder, and it's good having you back with us. The Prime Minister to deliver the second in a series of national addresses, a report focusing on plans to reform, transform, and improve learning. You will also hear more about what the government has planned to further tackle crime, the criminal justice system, the mobilization of cutting-edge technology, and reducing the rate of reoffending. Now, today's primetime address will be carried on JCNTV14 as well as other television and radio stations at 8 p.m. Well, the Prime Minister's national address comes just 2 days after returning to the capital following his and 4 other Caribbean leaders' sit-down with U.S. President Donald Trump in West Palm Beach on Friday. As expected, discussions centered on politically unstable Venezuela and China. The former is embroiled in a leadership crisis that has found the opposition leader Juan Guaido assuming the role as interim president. The U.S. has backed the move, and so has several Caribbean island states like the Bahamas. They're all getting backlash as a result. Unmoved, the Prime Minister told reporters during a briefing at the Lynden Pindling International Airport's VIP lounge Saturday morning that the Bahamas remains unwavered in its position, considering Venezuela's recent election that saw Nicolás Maduro regain control of the government that was illegitimate. When asked if there were any pressure from the U.S. to change the country's relationship with China in the midst of its ongoing trade war, Dr. Minnis says absolutely not. While the Bahamas' stance on the issue is not sitting well with fellow CARICOM heads like the Prime Ministers of Trinidad and Tobago, Keith Rowley, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, who called on the Caribbean to be aware to what he called the mischief that some people are using to seek to divide. Prime Minister Gonsalves reasons that the United States' sanctions against Venezuela are illegal and only worsen a difficult situation. Now, the U.S., he said, is carrying out a creepy coup d'etat against the legitimate government in Venezuela. Aside from the Bahamas, leaders of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, St. Lucia, and Jamaica were all invited to Friday's meeting with President Trump, none of whom, as Prime Minister Gonsalves pointed out, were authorized to speak for CARICOM on the issue. The CARICOM Committee on Venezuela comprises the Prime Minister of St. Kitts, Trinidad, and Barbados, none of whom were invited to that meeting. Well, the opposition certainly stands with CARICOM's consensus that calls for non-interference in the internal affairs of another country. A statement from Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Fred Mitchell notes that having examined the outturn reports of the Prime Minister's recent meeting in Palm Beach, the PLP is concerned that there was no new ground which was of any immediate benefit to the Bahamas. The Prime Minister's combative and evasive answers to the press upon his return, he says, did not inspire confidence that there was any substantive benefit to the Bahamas. Mr. Mitchell says the country should always stand on the foundations upon which it was created, chief amongst these the non-interference in the affairs of another state. Local government on the move, conducting a 3-day workshop here in the capital. Bringing the keynote address, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis reiterated the government's policy to make family islanders the first to hear of any major infrastructure signing on their island. Now, the repeated assurance comes after taking the flak for signing a multi-million-dollar heads of agreement with Disney Cruises for a development in South Eleuthera away from the eyes of the media recently. The deal is said to be just one of several significant sustainable development projects, which include a transshipment port in Mayaguana, the development of poultry farm and processing plants in North Andros and Eleuthera, with a distribution center in New Providence. An incentive to be started through the Bahamas Striping Group of companies.
Abaco Islands and Abaco Keys will receive significant new investments. These include the proposed Tyros family $580 million investment in South Abaco for development of a 5-star residential resort and marina, which will involve the upgrade and expansion of the Sandy Point Airport. The development, airstrip that is, the development of Sandy Point Ferry Dock as a cargo transshipment port and construction area, and the extension of Queens Highway in South Abaco. On Andros, we have approved a Bahamian joint venture partnership arrangement for the development of the Blue Hole Marina and Lodge in Fresh Creek consisting of a 12-room lodge and an 18-slip marina, including a bulk fuel facility. Long Island will experience growth to its economy with the development of the Pinders Bay $5 million 28-bungalow community development project at Lower Harbor. Also in the works for Long Island is a new 5-star eco resort by Star Resort with 515 luxury residences.
As for Rugged Island, the Prime Minister says they're making progress in efforts to incorporate solar power generation into that island's electricity grid. You may recall the government's push to make Rugged Island the first green smart island in the Bahamas. Other infrastructure enhancements include improvement to water access on Crooked Island and Long Island, with the Berry Islands, Bimini, and the Exumas already experiencing such investments with the expansion of existing properties and greenfield tourism projects. The local government workshops meeting takes place under the theme Family Island Administrators, Agents of Change, Productivity, and Accountability. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.